talk about losing stuff or whatever in kids. My wife's just as bad. The other day, I took my e-collar off my Yog,
Yeah.
and I just set it in a box of stuff that I was going to carry out anyway.
Yeah.
I couldn't find that thing for 4 or 5 days. I found it stuffed in one of my boots. I'm like, what the? And they weren't even my boots. They're a pair of boots that Jake left here when he moved out. It's like, how the hell was I ever going to find that?
Well, with kids and wives, it's amazing the places that you find stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I was losing my mind. It's just like, this is crazy. I mean, I'll set that stuff down in the house and walk out and get distracted and then be like, where's my phone? Where's this? Whatever. But I literally thought I was losing my mind over that e-collar.
Yep.
You know, I was just like, what the heck?
Well, when you lose an e-collar with a dog like your Jog or Bogan or something like that, it's important.
Yeah, it is.
You need that thing.
Yeah.
Bogan wears his for life, I think. I don't know if that dog's ever going to be able to run around in public without one on him.
I'm with you, dude. Tough's actually pretty good until you get him if you take him to the woods, then Jerry Mall was hunting with me one night. And he's like, is that little dog hunt? And I looked at my Garmin and he was like 860.
Yeah.
By himself, trailing off by himself. He's probably scorching a deer, trying to find a possum to molest or, something. But he'll hunt. He kind of worries me too, especially this time of year.
Well, a dog like that likes to be in the ground too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ground deal. And then right now the coyotes are denning.
Yeah.
And I've had more run-ins with coyotes this time of year than any other time of the year. So
are your coyote numbers up like ours are up? Because I'm having more coyote conflict now in the last 2 years than I ever have. And this is always this time of year. It's always when the female step ups. But I hunt the same places. I've lived here for 35 years, hunting pretty much the same place, same 30 or 40 turn loose spots.
I think our coyote numbers are actually down because we've got more red fox. And when you've got So if you got more
red fox only live in town.
Yep.
They do not venture very far outside of town or they're going to get ate.
You can be out hunting and it's nothing to see, 4 or 5 red fox across the road at night while you're out driving from spot to spot. And for, I'd say a couple decades anyway, it was just like, we didn't have any foxes.
Yeah.
Never saw one.
Yeah. And I know that, like with our foxes, you never see them outside of town. We still have a good population, but always within city limits of like little bitty towns. But with all the coyote calling going on right now and how popular that sport has become, I can't believe that because I see coyotes hitting on the road. And when you see coyotes hit on the road, there are a lot of coyotes.
Yeah.
They have to be pretty plentiful to get hit because they're smart. They're sharp. They're not dogs. They're not like deer where you if there's 3 deer, you're going to run over 2 of them.
I drove to Louisiana a couple of weeks ago and it was just, I couldn't believe the number of coyotes that were dead on the interstate.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
And that's a mesopredator thing. They're going to come up when the coons come up, when those mid-sized predators are on the uptick. I think coyotes are going to follow that same path.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And plus, we feed them plenty.
Yeah, we do.
Just the road-killed ignorant white-tailed deer that I tell you, I hit a deer in my brand new truck. It had 460 miles on it.
In which truck? The Ranger?
No, a new Nissan. We got the Nissan for work, a 4-door.
Oh, yeah,
your truck. Frontiers.
Yeah.
On the way back from Super Stakes, right in the middle of I-70. I'd been dodging deer all night, and I finally smoked one. I'm over deer, pal. I'm over.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I hear you. Everybody around here was complaining about a bad year for deer hunting. It's like because we had the CWD outbreak again, I guess, and everybody's crying the blues, and I'm just over there, just like, yes.
Oh,
I wish. Thank goodness, mate. Oh, it's just
if my outfitter friends would have heard the words that come out of my mouth when I hit that deer, we would not be friends anymore.
Oh, I guarantee it, man. I cuss them, and it's just like, yeah, cuss them and cuss them. They've changed coon hunting so much.
Oh yeah, And one thing I wanted to talk to you about, actually, that's a good segue into what I was going to bring up because you had the Wolf podcast the last couple of weeks, which was awesome. I thought that was cool, and I got to thinking about when me and you first started discussing, doing the truth and doing this segment on Houndsman XP. It was about, which is Houndsman XP has always been about bridging gap. Bridging that gap between the houndsman and the other sportsman, the houndsman and the everyday suburbanite, all that stuff.
We got to figure it out.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, I think it gets closer all the time. But, there's another gap to bridge. And we the truth's kind of gotten away from that a little bit because we're so focused on these guys that are winning big and all that stuff, which is great too. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's the part that makes me interested. I was listening to that wolf stuff. And when they sat down and they hunted that trapper up and they laid the money on the table for that trapper to come get them wolves. And I was just like, you know what? That is bridging a gap. And sometimes necessity is what does it.
Yeah.
We've talked about the coon numbers and the coon killing contest and the trappers.
I still haven't stopped getting hate mail over that one.
No, I haven't either. But
would you do it again?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, my opinion's my opinion and the facts are the facts.
That's right. You just can't, it's the truth. That's what we do on this show. We tell the truth and to think that trapping culvert ditches along I-70 are going to affect their coon hunting is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That I've said that for years. There's a stretch of road here in my community that runs along the Ohio River, and it runs from Rising Sun up to Aurora. And you always see 20, 30, it's nothing to see 20 or 30 dead coons on that stretch of road in a month.
Yeah.
And the thing of it is, I've got another buddy of mine that's a trapper, and he could trap all of that. There's no way I could hunt that.
Right.
I mean, that was just, my dogs would be dead on that road.
I tried to get Daniel Clipperton, who is a well-known coonhound trainer. Some of the best dogs on the planet have come from Clipperton's place. He doesn't go to hunts, but he gets pups. He starts pups. He sells dogs ready or real close to being ready to be in hunts for good money, and he does it all the time.
That's like Bub Blackwell.
Right. He's very similar to Bub, except he's not going to ever see a Casper. You'll see Bub very rarely in a Casper. Sure. He'll be with Austin where he's at a hunt, but you don't see Clipperton at a hunt.
Right.
But, Laura Lee came from Clipperton's, I believe. There's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole bunch of them that come from Clipperton. But he's a huge trapper. Loves to trap. Still finishes all his fur. Has a real nice trapping shed with a full bar in it. And, there's a bar, a real nice bar and a big screen, and then he's skinning behind you.
Yeah. Don't mind the coon grease, boys.
Exactly.
Pour up another.
Not exactly the most appetizing smell to go in and get you a pizza and a beer, but it's a skin and shed first and a bar second. But I wanted to get him on the podcast, and he don't want to do it. He's one of those guys that, I don't speak well or something, but he would do just fine. I'm still working on him. But I was talking to Clipperton and other trappers, and probably, I'm just going to guess, I don't have these numbers in my back pocket, but in the county that I live in, there's probably, when trapping was prevalent, they're taking 10 to 12,000 coons probably. These trappers are. In 2013, the last year the fur boom was high, and you didn't see any roadkill coon.
Nope.
Either wasn't enough to get run over, or they picked them up and skinned them.
Yeah, I got $18 for coons.
Yeah, I averaged $22.50 that year green in 13. Yeah. That was right before the big bust, and I trapped real hard that year. But everybody had, especially with dog push, everybody had steel on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And we went out that April and still treed the fire out of raccoon. And they were taking way more than one coon killing contest that takes, say, 700, 800, 900 coon.
I've seen the ebbs and flows of coon populations, and with my background in wildlife management, as the enforcement side, but still, I mean, you had the experience with it. I can tell you, man, we had years where the coon numbers were down, where we would walk up hollers and and find dead coons
Yeah. Yeah.
from the distemper.
Yeah.
And
That's way harder in it than it is.
oh man,
Contest. Way harder.
and that and the thing that people, everybody crying about these coon competitions are actually helping the coon population, because distemper is a density disease.
Yeah.
It's transmitted through, population density.
Mm-hmm.
So I would rather have, 10 raccoons in 200 areas that are healthy than have 20 or 30 that are going to be spreading disease around, because it'll come. I mean,
Yeah.
it's coming. It's just a matter of, it always does.
Yeah.
So
And I'm surprised it hasn't hit yet. I really am.
I am too. I'm
Yeah.
surprised we haven't just had a massive outbreak of distemper as thick as the coons are.
Especially the way they're being fed now. You look at right here where there's a lot of corporate hog farms, the deer hunters with their feeders, real small pockets of feed. Me and Finley was hunting 2 nights ago, and I pulled up to a little frog pond that's just got bean field around it where I started a lot of pups. We was actually going to cut a couple older dogs there. We was going to send Angel or Hazel and Scent. And there were 7 coon in the bean field digging up old rotten beans. And there were 5 around this little frog pond. And this is when the sows are supposed to be in their den.
Right.
Kids. And of course, we didn't turn 2 old dogs loose in the middle of that. I took my pup back there last night. But there's 12 coon right there. And this is a 40-acre farm just right there. That's just right here by the house. Now it's surrounded by a lot of stuff. But there's 12 coon that I can see with my eyeballs on the ground. If we'd have got out and shined around, who knows? And that was all in about a 2-acre spot.
Mm-hmm.
One of those coons get sick, they're all sick. They all die.
You nailed it in that podcast with Dan Brayman. And I even said it in, the Wolf podcast that we just dropped with Foundation for Wildlife Management. Deer hunters never have enough deer. Elk hunters never have enough elk. Coon hunters never have enough coons. And as hunters, we get so focused on that we forget that that's not always the best thing for sustaining wildlife. There is such a thing as too many. And yeah, I guarantee you that there are way more coons that are killed with fly bait and Mountain Dew every year in some of these live traps and than there ever have been in a coon killing contest.
Yeah.
And here's the deal. If we don't step up and solve the problem, the farmer down the road, yeah, it's cool to go down there and start pups and have a coon up every bush. But if we don't step up, that ag community is so strong, they can sway opinions in legislative bodies. You call the Fish and Wildlife, and Fish and Wildlife starts coming up with ways to kill them for us.
Yeah.
That's what they've done here in Indiana. We went from, no running from February 1st to May 15th, to now we run almost year round, and you can kill coons year round with written permission. And a landowner can take coons anytime on any of his property for any reason, or I can, if he gives me written permission.
And we're all going to year round raccoon seasons. Right now, Missouri extended theirs last year. It starts in August now.
No kidding.
Yeah, it runs from August until I believe October 15th, and then stops again until November 15th. So there's a month between October 15th. But we're only a year or two away from having it year round.
Yeah.
We need a spring season at least. That way, we can help the deer hunters and we can help the turkey hunters more. Yeah. But that's coming. I mean, I know that's right down the pipe. But if people would just understand the sheer amount of coons that me and Finley kill, they would understand that we're not gonna hurt them with one coon killing contest a year.
Well, when Georgia put it on the books that you could hunt, landowners could take coons year round.
Yeah.
A lot of these big farms and leases down there, the turkey hunters were the ones that were doing that trapping and trapping coons out of there. And it'd be nice if it'd be like the state would say, hey, if you want to trap coons year round, then you need to give permission to somebody to coon hunt there. That'd be the perfect world solution.
Yeah.
But that's not how policy works.
No.
And that's not how wildlife management works. And it's just never going to happen. You know, that
Well, everything's such a slow, tedious process, and especially today in the Facebook age, everybody wants it right now.
yeah.
We want a rule change in UKC. We want it right now. We want to have some law changed or some deal going on with the hunt or whatever. We want it right now, and they just don't work that way. Bureaucracy, you were a game warden for a while. You know, the bureaucracy is very strong. It's
Yes.
not going anywhere. It takes
Bureaucracy is the worst thing that ever happened to wildlife management.
Yeah.
That and you know, it's so weaponized and politicized these days. That's what we talked about in that wolf podcast. I mean, there's nothing that's been more weaponized than the gray wolf.
Right.
You know,
And then that's
what a
another
mess.
thing. One thing I wanted to ask you now that we've touched on that subject is what makes human beings view large predators so much differently than every other animal?
Man, it's a whole media thing. You know, you can take. I think a lot about this. So, you know, if you go out and let's say we're going to do some filming. Okay, we're going to film different guys out there hunting different stuff with their dogs. If you go out and you film that one mountain lion getting shot
Mm-hmm.
and everything, then you're going to get backlash on that. But the same people say nothing about guys like Mark Donovan in Boston hunting wharf rats
Yeah,
with his terrier.
exactly.
You know, so it used to be brown eyes, and if it had brown eyes and eyelashes, then you know, and deer were the thing. It was there, everybody had a soft spot for that.
Yeah.
But with the level of attention that these big apex predators are getting, a lot of it boils down to there's a lot of money in organizations like Center for Biological Diversity, the Mountain Lion Foundation, HSUS. The list goes on and on. There's a lot of money there for them to build this media hype around that wolf or that lion or that bear, and they don't. The guys at the top, they're just cashing checks. That's all they're doing.
Oh yeah.
You know, the average person out there that shows up at these local meetings, they're passionate about it. They, you know, they don't want you hunting, but the guys at the top know that they're never going to stop hunting, but they like cashing those checks, and that's where it's at. That's why we see such a big push on it, is because there's been a lot of money being spent to fuel that propaganda machine.
But what if I started the Save the Opossums Foundation?
I think you should. It's the only North American marsupial.
I know, it's a very special animal. Jeff Wright.
It's got bifurcated penis.
Yeah, Jeff Wright is a wildlife biologist who done his study on the travel habits of possums in like urban areas, and he lived over here by me. He used to come quail hunting with me all the time. Now I think he was in Montana for a while. I haven't spoke to Jeff for a while, but he did a big study on, he collared possums and turned them back loose, you know, and one of them died in a beauty shop in the wall, and he went in there to get his collar, and they didn't know what the smell was, and they were so mad at him because they didn't tell him that he lived in the wall and all this stuff. But yeah, he would be a good backup for the Possum Foundation. But but why because possums are cool. You know, I don't shoot possums just for fun or take them during coon season or fur bear season or anything, because, you know, I want to leave that possum there just in case I'm guiding in that spot and I know my dog won't. Maybe some other dog will. But I could take a possum and I could hold it up dead and nobody's going to bat an eye.
Nope.
Nobody's going to care. But when's the last time we named a possum? We've got Cecil the lion. We got that limping ass bear that walked on legs. That they don't name them.
The flip side to that, though,
predators.
The flip side to that, though, you remember that post that I mean, even Houndsmen were posting it. You know,
All about how they eat all the ticks.
possums
They
eat
don't have
3
rabies.
million ticks a day.
Yeah.
You know, and that study was totally came from
The
the
Possum
animal
Foundation.
zealots.
It
Yeah,
came
the
from the
Possum Foundation. It sure
Save the
did.
opossums.
Yep. It was all a setup. That study was done. They didn't feed this possum anything except ticks in a box.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, he's going to eat them. He's hungry, you know. But it was all bull crap.
There's cat food in there and see how many ticks he eats.
Exactly. Yeah. If he can walk up on your porch and eat your cat's food, he's not eating ticks.
Yeah. So I mean, but I still don't understand. To me, a snake is a rat, is a duck, is a deer, is a wolf, they're all the same to me. You know, I get the same views. You look at it from a healthy herd standpoint instead of an individual standpoint. The thing about animal rights activists and people that see animals and, oh, don't hunt this, don't that, they're more concerned about the individual animal than they are the species.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't do that with so many other types of animals, but they do it with big predators. Even hunters. Even hunters will look at someone that will tree a mountain lion and say it's not fair, or say it's not this, or that's not fair chase. You know, we've had that discussion too.
Oh yeah.
And they don't, but I don't get it. A pheasant in front of a setter is fair chase, but a freaking 150-pound mountain lion above a dog is not.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It's nonsensical.
Nope. I'll tell you what I think a lot of it is, and we probably get a lot of hate mail over this. Hopefully we do. That means some deer hunters and other hunting groups are listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
But you know, hunters in general, I feel like are losing. They've lost their skills to hunt, and it's because it doesn't take anything to go out and shoot a deer.
No,
you know, it's no challenge. You can do it. You can do it just about any day of the week you want. Now, killing big bucks, you can add some skill level to that. However, you know, the majority of deer hunters in this area that I'm in, all they are is creating they're good at creating the opportunity to kill a deer.
Yeah.
You know, with food plots and cameras and all this other stuff, they've become very good at creating the opportunity to shoot a deer. I always wonder if you took that same guy that's so passionate about his deer hunting and you took him and you blindfolded him and you dropped him in the middle of Hoosier National Forest or, you know, Daniel Boone National Forest, can he hunt his way out of there? Can he even live to get out of there? You know, because he doesn't have his side by side. He doesn't have any of that other stuff. But some of the houndsman stuff is kind of the same way. It's in the same vein. We've got so many coons that dogs can be trained a lot easier.
Yeah.
I don't even know what we would do if you didn't have the coon numbers, you know, and the opportunities to put dogs on game and stuff like that.
I remember.
I do too.
It was hard without no GPS. Not the coon numbers here that we have now. Dogs that were not as genetically superior as they are now, and that's the honest to God's truth. I know guys bang on me all the time. Dogs of today versus dogs of yesterday. Just the fact that I can get a 7-8 month old pup to tree its own coon, even an easy one, is unreal and would have been unheard of 30 years ago. You know, so the breeders have done a better job than people give them credit for. The dogs are genetically easier to start, in my opinion. And like I said, that's just opinion. But yeah, give me a Finley River dog from the late 80s and a small coon population, I'm gonna struggle.
You bet. I hunted with the direct son of Finley River Chief.
Yeah. And they were good dogs. They were just hard starters.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them.
Yeah. And he was a solid dog. He actually placed fourth in the ACHA World Championship back in the day.
We would be much more patient.
The first night I ever coon hunted, Josh, there was a guy that went with us, an older guy that was wearing a carbide light.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say, you know, I was hunting back, but it was 1983.
Yeah.
And this old timer,
did you guys drive your chariot to the woods? Old as
We
you
rode,
are.
yeah. Well, we had a wagon drawn by mules.
Go get them, old Dan. Go get them, little Dan. You gotta find Grandpa.
So, but it was a different time, and coons weren't as plentiful. And I tell you this, that the tracking abilities and the trailing abilities of those hounds was a lot better than what we have today.
Yeah, yeah, in a
And
lot of instances and a lot of strains. Yeah,
yeah,
they were better track dogs, but they were trail first dogs that,
sure.
and
Yep.
a lot of them would be 2.5, 3 years old before they started treeing. That was not very uncommon.
No, no.
I remember dogs from my best memories. My best early memories are going to be 88, to 93 when I'm 8 to 13.
The Truth on the Houndsman XP Podcast Network is proud to partner with Cajun Lights. Cajun Lights can outfit all of your hunting light needs, everything from the high-quality Rougarou, super bright, super versatile. They've got a Bayou, which is a mid-range price light. And then one of my personal favorites is the Micro Gator. I use that for big game hunting, finding tracks, just general use. If I need a light on my head, I'm grabbing my Micro Gator. I've looked for bear tracks in that thing, lion tracks, cat tracks, coon hunted with it, hog hunted with it at night. I've even used it to work on the plumbing in the house. Super bright, super dependable. Everything that LW sells down there is high quality, and the customer service is second to none. Every week I'm getting notifications that they're adding new items to their store. They've got briar-proof clothing coming out. They got a jacket out right now that's really nice. I put the vest through the paces this last bear season and coon season. Couldn't be happier with that. I can't find anything there that I don't like, and I like dealing with LW Nixon and Cajun Lights. So check them out. You can go to houndsmanxp.com. You can follow that link to Cajun Lights right from our website. Check them out, folks.
And those are when, of course, I've been hunting since I was old enough to be carried, but they were not. I remember when we had a dog that was right at a year old start treeing, and it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And he just went in there and, covered the old dog and treed with it. And that was huge.
Yep.
My grandfather was ecstatic about this pup treeing that quick. And I think this is a cross that he'd made like 19 times. And this was litter number 17. He ought to know what they were all going to do by now.
What year did Wick write the book? The first book, the first tree dog?
I haven't read either one of them.
It had to be in that time frame, mid 80s, mid to early 80s. I've got 2 copies of it here, but I'll check that copyright on that hardbound book. But I think Wick originally, he talked about the 18-month-old pup. If you've got an 18-month-old pup that's not doing it, then you should start looking somewhere else.
Yeah.
So even back then, 18 months old has been kind of the standard rule of thumb, except for guys that are, looking for that super early starter that they can put in baby stakes and stuff like that.
One thing I have to remember is that we were not hunting with the best of the best coonhounds, in the late 80s, early 90s either. We were pleasure hunters, hide hunters, had our own type of strain of dogs, and there were a lot of good dogs that we hunted with, and we treated a lot of coon and stuff, but there were levels higher than what we were. I have no doubt.
Yeah. In Indiana,
those guys may have had it figured out better than we did. I'm sure they did.
I drew Russ Beller at Sugar Creek Coon Hunters with Pac-Man in the 80s.
Yeah.
And Lester Nance was still getting after it then with the Nance bred hounds and stuff here. And then you had Bert Noney, the Turkey Ridge Racket dogs and stuff like that. They were around. And so some of those old timers, the legends of the old days, I got to hunt with them. Yeah. And I saw those dogs. And Pac-Man was impressive. He was legit coon dog. And but he was an old style dog. He was just an older style dog. He wasn't what we've got today. It's amazing how far we've come.
And it changes monthly almost. It seems like these dogs are changing so much faster, and the style of hunting is changing so much faster, and the ability to get a good dog is getting easier. I mean, as far as just starting one, because just like we touched on, coons are thicker. The dogs are easier to start. That's what made some of these great big stud dogs so popular. The Nailer, the Rat Attack, Sackett Jr. Some of those dogs that are really the foundation of a lot of breeds today is their pup started treeing quick. Bone Collector was a good example there too, especially during the Zeb 3 days or the Wipeout days when the Wipeout hounds first came out, and they were a little slower to start. They were trail type dogs, and they were a little slower to start getting treed up until Zeb 3 came along. But
go ahead and finish your
but
thought.
I'm just saying that the thing that makes these dogs so much easier to start is they were good tree dogs early.
Yeah.
And in thick coons, you can get by with that.
Mm-hmm. You know, Jerry Mull always says, he said, it's a lot easier to take tree out of a dog than to put it in.
Yeah.
And so he's bred his walker dogs. And if I was going to go find a walker that I would enjoy hunting, I've hunted some of Jerry's hounds, one of them. I hunted one hound for him for a while. Real nice female, but he's just got some very nice hounds. And that's how he's bred them. You know, it's easier to take it out than it is to put it in.
Yeah. And some of these dogs, and I think that's why certain dogs like X Jr. did not breed as many females, as those were trailing type dogs. He was kind of like Zeb 3 before Zeb 3 came along. You know, it was just, but you know, when you get used to a rat, and yeah, they all get grief for throwing slick treers and stuff like that, but we didn't know then what we did know now. When Naylor first come along, or Rat, or Sackett Jr., or some of them dogs, when a pup started looking up at 5 months old, you encouraged it. You was over there tapping that tree and petting that pup on the side. Holy cow, I got something. It's a freak of nature. Well, we didn't know they were all like that.
Yeah.
And we didn't know we were creating bad habits, encouraging them to tree, especially by sight and certain things like that we did with these old style dogs.
Well, I have seen that come back around. You know, we went through a period there where dogs were winning big hunts. I know the dog that won Super Stakes one year was a guy here local that owned this female. And his comment about her was she never met a tree she didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so she could tie up a cast. She could tie up a cast for an hour and a half, and she was loud. So you get sucked in under the tree. And if she had 3 coons out of 10, that's enough to beat you.
Yeah.
You know, because you couldn't hear what was going on out here. But now we've changed the rules and massaged those rules. And
the dog is more independent too.
Yeah.
They're not all going to be piled in with that dog like they were used to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it was just, we've massaged the rules, we've changed the rules, and we've bred dogs that have to go and treat raccoons if they're going to win.
If they're going to win big. And there's still that stigma of all, and you'll see it every now and then on social media, of guys that haven't been to a hunt in 30 years. And they're like, well, you know, they just wait till the leaves are on. They wait till the leaves are on. Well, you got to wait till the leaves are on because the deer hunters are in the woods all the other time. And there's plenty of hunts with the leaves off. There ain't no leaves on in January in Texas during the Lone Star. These dogs all have to tree coons. They all have to win anymore. And it didn't used to be the case. I see squirrel hunting coming along kind of in that same style, but it's going to be expedited. It's going to go quicker. You know, it's going to go through that tree dog phase and into that having squirrels again phase faster than the coonhounds did. But some of these guys are just encouraging these dogs to tree. And, you know, they can rack up enough points because it's hard to minus a squirrel dog.
Oh, man.
All they got to do is, if there's a tree in the woods that's circled and they tree in that woods.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
You know what? The old NKC rules is if there's a place of refuge within 20 steps of where your dog treed, then it was a circle tree.
Yeah.
That's a long way.
That's a long way, especially when you're in the middle of the woods. There's especially with a squirrel.
Exactly.
You can hide anywhere.
You can find a nest, you can find a hole in the tree, you can find it's hard to minus a squirrel dog.
Yeah.
And I've seen this a lot. You know, a lot of squirrel hunters, especially the old timers, that just be out there with the dog and they walk through the woods shaking vines and getting those squirrels to move out. And then those little feist dogs, you know, they were all eyeballs and they'd see them and they'd just go nuts and then they'd catch on. but they also walk to a lot of empty trees.
Well, I got to hunt with Jared Hughes and Shane Mason here a while back down in Louisiana. I was coming back from the Jarvis Umphers Memorial and stopped there and hunted with Jared and Shane, and they got really good squirrel dogs. Independent, have their squirrels when they tree.
Yeah.
Shane's hunting a feist called Traveler. Jared's hunting Kimmer curs, and they just go out and they tree squirrels. That's it. They go out and they tree squirrels, and they were talking about how sometimes it's hard to compete with the, they'll turn a big loud walker dog in there that likes to get wooded, and it kind of blows a cast up a little bit, and the walker dog has to have one squirrel and 3 or 4 circle trees on a day when it's from 10 to 3 when the squirrels aren't up and about, and the Kimmer cur and the other dogs that want to have squirrels aren't making any trees.
Right.
So while it still takes, and the old adage is, well, just go tree squirrel and you'll beat it. But you can't find all of them. They're hard to find, especially when the leaves are on. So, but
I ran that circuit hard, man.
Really?
I had mountain curs and
it's fun, but
ran
I don't
all the
wanna
way.
get one.
Ran all the way to South Georgia and Missouri and all over the place squirrel hunting, and I went at that hard. And it was I expected my cur dogs to hunt like the hounds that I'd had.
Yeah.
If you're treed, you need to be treed.
Yep.
And I don't want you out here messing around. I'd set them up and sneak in there and tone them back on trees and correct milling around at the tree and all that stuff if I had it. But a lot of those curs that I saw coming along, they were tree dogs, for real.
Yeah, that's what they're kind of gearing towards now. A lot of people, it seems like half the community's looking to get treed and half the community's looking to have squirrels in every tree.
Right.
And eventually I think it's all going to work itself out,
It will.
Yeah. And I think they're on the same path that the coonhounds were. And with the money coming into that sport, then I think it's going to just expedite everything to where eventually you're just going to have better quality dogs. That's my opinion anyway.
Yeah. Yep. I've been out of touch with it for a long time. I really don't know what's going on over there much anymore.
Yeah. No, I don't. I'm not. Of course, I'm maybe talking out my butt here too, because I don't really know it that well either. All I know is what I've seen and what I hear people talk about, through the dog food and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I got to figure out how to mute this mic so I can yell at that healer.
Just yell at him.
Hold on a second. No, because you always gripe at me for not muting the mic when I yell at my dog.
Just move your cursor around. It's there in the lower left-hand corner.
Hold on. Mute.
Hey. Shut up, Bogan. Shut up.
I think someone might. They're building a new building out in the yard. I think they're out there working.
I yelled at him for you.
Yeah, he heard you. For some reason, he just immediately shut up. But yeah, every time I go to yell at a dog or go get a drink, you're like, you can hit that mute button. And then the one time I'm getting ready to yell at him, you tell me not to.
You gotta have something to talk about. So what else is going on? What else are we going to talk about in this?
Well, I was gonna
rant.
We got off subject a little bit, like we always do. But the truth.
You were talking about bridging gaps in the beginning, and we went on a way.
Houndsman XP, and of course the truth and all that stuff. We were bridging gap. The truth was kind of there to bridge the gap between the big game guy and the competition guy. The bear dog hunter in Wisconsin and the PKC hunter in Louisiana. And so I think we've done a really good job of that, and we brought a lot of that to the table. But there's all kinds of opportunities for that, and we've been talking around this subject the whole time. The coon numbers. That is a good opportunity to bridge a gap between the big game hunter, the turkey hunter, and the houndsman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a huge opportunity. These guys, they don't like the coon on their feeders. They don't like the coon eating the turkey eggs. They don't like this. All we have to do is conduct ourselves in the right way and play this the right way. And then all of a sudden we're adored by a community that used to hate us.
Yeah.
It's real close if we do it right.
If you go down to the big hunting clubs down south there and hunt on some of those where they keep deer corn out all year long.
Yeah.
We don't get, I've never been turned down from coon hunting there because they don't want to pay to feed coons.
No, you look at
They're
what they spend on deer corn in East Texas on that ranch that we stay on.
yeah,
A lot.
yeah, a lot of money. So you're actually doing them a favor. And like you said, if you conduct yourself in the right way, maybe you only get to hunt it 3 months out of the year. But that's a lot of acreage
Yes.
that you didn't have, that you're not going to have any other time of the year.
Yeah. And why should we be the selfish ones when it comes? Because we talked about how there's never enough deer for the deer hunters, there's never enough turkey for the turkey hunters, and so on and so forth. We can be the unselfish group and say, look, it's yours 9 months out of the year. 11 months out of the year. Give me a month. Give me a month. I'll go down there. I'll knock your coon population down. You'll see less coon on your feeders. I got a good spot to hunt my young dogs. It's their property. It's their tax money. It's their, maybe it's their dream to own 40 acres in the Ozarks, or their dream to own 100,000 acres in Texas. It's the same thing. We have the opportunity to come in there and to look at it as a gift instead of it's my right.
Yeah, because it's not.
No, it's not our right. It's a favor that they are doing to us, or giving us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we sit back and we scream when the anti-hunter comes out and we talked about it, the brown eyes and the eyelashes, or making an emotional decision or developing an opinion based on emotion. So when I see people who go completely off the deep end over a coon killing contest, you are making that opinion, you're developing that opinion based on emotion, because it's not scientifically backed. It's not based in science. It's not going to hurt your opportunity.
You sound like Anthony Fauci. Just trust the science.
That's the biggest problem. And our houndsmen are the most conservative crowd on the face of the earth, no doubt about it. And so even science has been weaponized and politicized now, where we don't know what to believe and what not to believe, and everything's a conspiracy and all this stuff. But nobody's weaponizing the taking of raccoons for some political gain, like they're like the Wuhan virus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not weaponized. There's nothing in it for politicians to come up with some conspiracy to stop raccoon hunting.
Well, we can't do nothing correctly.
Or bureaucrats.
Yeah. Unless we detach ourselves.
Yeah.
You have to detach and look at things differently than, it's no different than training a dog. Me and Finley just finished a podcast a little bit ago about recognizing the holes in your dog. And you have to detach yourself and be honest with yourself, just like you do when you look at something like the coon killing contest, or you look at something like someone taking a bear when you think bears are your effing spirit animal or something stupid. It's just, you got to detach yourself, and you got to do what's best for the species and do what's best for the organization or the group that you're with. Us as houndsmen, what's best for houndsmen right now? Is it throwing a fit and going to kill a bunch of turkeys because someone shot a bunch of coons at a raccoon killing contest 700 miles from your house? That is not what's best for hounds.
Yeah.
If I'm in Louisiana and I'm mad because they had a coon killing contest in Minnesota, that's on me. And I do sort of get the complaint that, this stuff spreads and all this stuff. But if there are no coons to kill, then the coon calling contest probably ain't gonna hurt you none. If they have one in some place where you have low coon numbers and they kill 10, big deal.
Yeah.
So
anyway. Well, Dan Brayman even said it. He said, if there's not a problem there with predators, we're not going to host a hunt there.
No, and it is one thing I didn't push Dan on enough is how much more important habitat is than predator control, in my opinion. And most of the biologists are going to back that up. And I think Dan believes that as well. He did touch on it, but we didn't press on it enough. There's been a lot of habitat loss and changes that has helped not only up the coon population, but to lower the turkey population too. So it should always be habitat first, especially the ground nesting birds, quail, pheasant, turkeys, all that stuff. But predator control's a deal. I mean, there is a thing. We have too many coons in the Midwest. There are too many. And I'm a coon hunter, and I will always be a coon hunter, but there's too many.
Okay, here's another spin on it. Delta Waterfowl has been doing predator management and predator trapping in the wetlands, a place that no houndsman's hunting up in North Dakota. It's all cattail and flooded ground.
Yeah. There's only 2 houndsmen up there, and they ain't hunting those spots.
Yeah. They've been doing that for 30 years.
Yeah.
And it didn't hurt my coon population.
No.
I'm not going to North Dakota to hunt wetland.
Yeah.
It'd be fun to take the terrier up there.
They haven't trapped duck lakes in Texas.
Right.
Waterfowl's not down there murdering the coons.
Right.
And so, we got to detach. Just like the fur mom has to detach from, oh my God, they killed a black bear that just knocked over 10 trash cans and tore into a garage. We got to detach from seeing things like that and losing our mind. But that's part of being in the social media day and age.
Yeah.
It is
too easy to make comments.
Yeah.
Anymore, my rule of thumb is if I'm triggered by something and I think I always set it aside and I just walk away and think about it for a little bit. And then I usually decide, I'm not even going to respond to that.
What was the old football coach? He used to coach for the Chiefs and the Jets. His big saying when he went to talk to the new rookies is don't press send.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Don't press send.
Yeah.
Step back. Think about it. Don't press send because that don't go away. I don't know. I've deleted some posts too. Not very often. Normally, if I type something, it's pretty well thought out and I don't care if it's out there. But we've all done it. 2 bourbons deep and your dogs look like crap. You've got on Facebook while your dog's been trailing for 3 hours longer than it should have. And, you type something out and you probably shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
But we need to really consider what we
I did that once. I typed one out and sent it and then I deleted it.
Yeah.
And then the guy started bashing me because I deleted my comment. Like I didn't have the guts to, if you're going to say it, just say it. You don't need to post a comment and delete it. And I was thinking, dude, judgment's a better part of valor here. And that's not going to help anybody. So
no, I've walked things back. If you're too stubborn to walk something back, then that's a you problem.
Yeah.
Even the great Josh Michaelis makes a mistake every now and
then. You're not telling me anything.
But that's really, I just wanted to, because I thought this would be a good Circle Points episode. We can talk about the wolves, talk about the trapping, and it all kind of ties in together. It's all about bridging gaps, and we try to do that between the competition coon hunters and the big game hunters, and the houndsman period.
I'll tell you a gap that needs to be bridged is the competition hunter and just the coon hunter, the standard coon hunter,
Some of them.
But the thing of it is, I don't care who it is, 9 times out of 10, the guy that if he gets that stem winding dog, that he's going to take it to town.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's going to
find somebody that will.
Yeah.
Or he's going to sell it to somebody that will.
Yeah. So both sides need the other side because guys like Bub Blackwell don't go buy dogs from Ike Rainey. Ike Rainey buys dogs from him.
Exactly.
Bub goes out here and finds these dogs that have potential, brings that potential out, and then he cashes out on.
Yep.
We've
all done it.
So he needs that guy that's just a pleasure hunter, if you want to call it there. That I always hated that term, pleasure hunter. I never got any pleasure out of hunting a counterfeit dog.
No, and sometimes hunting is not pleasurable.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this wouldn't be fair chase.
Yep.
It takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to make a dog. I don't care if it's a bear dog or a lion dog or a coonhound. It takes work and effort. And sometimes you got to drag yourself off that lazy boy and go do it when you don't want to.
That's been hard for me lately.
Yeah. Not for me. The weather, well, this time of year, I really get fired.
I always loved hunting this time of year, but just like today, I spread 40 bags of mulch and just, getting stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm just a puss.
Yeah. I get like that every now and then, but it's usually about July.
Man, I used to, I could put in a full day spreading rock or whatever, and couldn't wait for it to get dark.
Yeah.
And some of it too, for me, is, when the kids were here, Carrie was busy, and she was busy with kids in the evenings and all that stuff. I didn't feel bad about
Yep.
going out and leaving her home. And now I go out a lot of times. I'll go out and be like, I mean, I might be an anomaly, but I kind of enjoy spending time with my wife.
Nope. I get it.
I enjoy it, and it's just so. I mean, I'm still hunting. It's just not used to, man. If the road was blocked, I'd go a different direction. If my driveway was blocked, well, I'll just go from the house.
Yeah.
I'm going. I'd come home from working a midnight, a 3:30 to midnight shift, and as soon as I hit the driveway, man, I was peeling stuff off and getting ready to go and throwing dogs in the truck and gone.
I rarely hunt for the fun of it anymore. I need to get back to that, and I haven't hunted for the fun of it in years. Maybe every now and then, once a year, maybe I'll take the kids out just for fun and let them hunt with old dogs and just enjoy being with them or something. But that's always with a goal in mind. Probably the last 20 years, it's only because of an end goal or a hunt I'm getting ready for, or a young dog I'm really excited about that I have no intention of keeping. I plan on making a profit on, selling. It's always something like that that drives me to go. Right now, we're getting ready for nationals, and we're getting ready for our truck hunt, and I can't wait to hit the woods. I want to compete.
Funnest hunt I've been on all year was when I went up and hunted with Bub and Chris Allen and that friend of Chris Allen's up there. We just had a good time.
Yeah,
we just had fun. But I used to be miserable to hunt with when I had squirrel. When I had squirrel dogs, everybody else was out there kicking leaves and stuff, and it was business.
Yeah.
I was training dogs, and same way with the coon dogs and everything. But so it probably took a lot of the enjoyment out of it for me, and that's why I just kind of took a big break from the competition scene.
Yeah, and I have to have that young dog, or I have to have that to drive me. Otherwise, because and I envy those guys that, I just like to go and listen to the hounds go, and if I tree a coon, that's fine. I just like being out in the woods at night and hearing the dogs run. I wish I was that way. I really do.
Even when I go, I'm not out there to enjoy the night. I want dogs to get busy and get their job done.
A dog looking bad ruins my night.
Yeah.
And I'll get home frustrated and can't sleep at 4 a.m. when I got to get up for work at 6:30. And that dog was looking bad. I got a hunt coming up, or this young dog took a step backwards, and now I got to start, 2 steps away from where I thought I was. And, it absolutely makes me in a bad mood.
Hey, I know we're closing in. We got a couple other things we need to do, but did you listen to that podcast that Heath dropped with Clinton Sillier?
No, I've not yet.
Man, you need to listen to that. Sounds a little bit bad on the second one, but they get into talking about giving those dogs breaks.
Yeah.
And we always think, man, you just pound them for 30 days and you'll hunt them out of it.
Yeah.
Hunt them out of it.
I hate that phrase.
And Clinton Sawyer's is world renowned for his tracking dog training.
Mm-hmm.
And he and Heath go in deep about the benefits and the value of giving the dog a break. Yeah. That's how I got involved with Big Country.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to blow up Jazz. I remember where we were the night it happened. I flip her loose, and I mean, she was up to that point, she was like, get gone, get treed. And she was looking phenomenal. I flip her loose. She runs 30 yards, and she just stopped and looked at me. And I went up there, and I thought, well, I'm going to recast you. And flipped her loose. She went out about 50 yards and did a circle around and came back behind me. And I thought, what in the world? So I thought she was, and then it dawned on me. I was like, I've been pounding this 10-month-old pup like she was a 4-year-old dog. Yep. And so I took her home. on the way home, I called Donnie. I said, "Hey, what are you doing with Country?" He's just standing out in the kennel behind the barn. That's how it happened.
Yeah. Nope. Me and Jed done that podcast on the truth about all the dogs we've blown up.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the quantity as to what you're doing to them while you're out there too.
Yeah.
I mean,
you get frustrated, so you end up making bad decisions and correcting behavior that or overcorrecting.
Yep.
Because once they get on my bad side, they can't.
That applies to gun dogs too.
Yeah.
When I was doing retrievers, I would take steps backward all the time because I got frustrated.
Back in the day, man, if a dog got on my bad side, they couldn't do anything right.
Yeah.
And when they did, it was like, it's about time, you idiot.
Here's the thing is I recognize that in myself too, but I'm still stubborn enough that I'm not going to change the way I do things as much as I'm just going to get rid of the dog. The minute I don't like one, I sell it.
Yeah.
If I've got a bad opinion of that dog 2 or 3 nights in a row, come get it. I'm done.
Yeah. I know several people like that.
Yep. And they come in litters. I don't get too attached to them, but except for Bogan, that idiot's still sticking around.
I hear you.
But yeah, that's all I got, Chris.
My high-strung dog is sacked out on the futon behind me here.
That's nice. Mine's getting ready to go out and try to attack these builders if I let him out that door, so I'm just going to keep him inside for a little bit.
I hear you. Good deal.
No.
Yeah, we need to get together more often.
Yep, we do. Good conversation, I thought.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Me too.
We'll wrap it up and we'll move on to the next one, huh?
Sounds good.
All right. This is Josh Michaelis with The Truth on the Houndsman XP Podcast Network. We thank you for listening.